Hey there, Supalama here. Today we're going to start another build video. This one is going to be this Medeco, the original version. This was given to me by Loop Guru. I was asking around for some classic Medecos, and he said, "Hey, I've got one, take it for free." So, the only issue that it did have was it had a grub screw stuck in. I think it was pin 1, it might have been 6. Don't quite remember. Got my extractor kit, pulled that out. That thing was mangled. And here's what we were left with. We have grub screws, a sidebar, and springs. We also have a very nasty key. Lots of highs and lows. And we're going to make this entire lock work again by help of my lathe as well as my new vise tool. So I should be able to turn this into a mill as well. And then I'll get down to turning it into a challenge lock and sending it off to our very own Bada from our Discord chat, who decided he would pick a Medeco Classic and a biaxial in one day and record them after quickly learning about them. And I offered him a challenge lock, so he swiftly regretted accepting. Stay tuned. Okay, so we made the right size for the rod stock. It's a little loose, but it'll do for our purposes. So now we got to make the key pins. So all I've done is I've taken the key, and I'm just going to take the rod and insert it into one of the pins. Just going to hold it there for a minute. But actually, I'm going to just use my finger and mark that. So what I'll do is I'll cut a little excess of that brass rod, because I can just face it and I don't have to worry too much. So I don't think I have any scribes, which is kind of a much needed tool, but I'll figure it out. So this is basically what I'll be doing, is I'll do this and then I will cut the angle on one of the faces, and then we'll have our key pin. Okay, so this is day 3 of making the pins, and I'm finally done. I did make a few extras which were the wrong size, so I've got a few spares in case something went wrong, but luckily nothing else did. So there is the plug with all the key pins in line. Nothing out of the ordinary just yet. These are probably the most precise pins I have ever made. There's nothing done to the plug. I don't plan on doing anything with the plug. Each key pin, let's see if I can get a set of tweezers here just to show it off a little bit easier. Each key pin is earless, made of brass, and features 2 true gates, and the rest of these little drilled holes are false gates. And those will get caught up in the sidebar that was milled out ever so slightly. I don't know if I've shown you guys this already, but there it is. So as you can see, the sidebar now has a step, and that is simply because the drill bits I'm using on the size of key pin, it wouldn't work very well, and the integrity of the key pin would be destroyed if I used the full size of the sidebar. So I had to mill it down and step it just ever so slightly. I also gave it a little bit of an angle to make it easier to fall into the gates. The true gates are also ever so slightly larger than the false gates, just to make sure that with the tolerances I did keep up with, it would still allow it to work time and time again. Now, I was just thinking about this as I was finishing up my last key pin, is it didn't really matter whether I made the false gates the right or wrong depth, because if the false gates are at the wrong height, the key pin or the driver pin will still be blocking the shears. So something I had thought about as I was finishing, actually. Something to keep in mind next time I finish up. So I'm just going to fill up the plug here. And show you guys that it works with the key. It is a little bit stiff on this pin here, and I don't want to push it because it took a long time per pin to make these, so there we go. Okay, all nice and flush. And the sidebar fits in smoothly. Now, the way that this system works is, because this locks the key pins, I can just do this. Those key pins go nowhere. So that is an interesting feature. Including the key, it is 100% key retaining. So that will be nice and evil to pick. So stay tuned. I'm going to do the driver pins next, and then we will finish up with the body mods. Mostly just the extra ravines for the sidebar, as if these key pins weren't hard enough. Thanks for watching.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me.